Now, I know what some may be thinking. What about New Dawn? And to those who asked that, fair. Same issue as criticizing Elden Ring for me. However, unlike Elden Ring, or maybe like Elden Ring, I'm not sure, I do not consider New Dawn to be canon to the verse it's associated with. It does not characterize Joseph Seed well or consistently. Most of its characters range from bland to downright trash. Its mechanics don't really innovate much, and its only forms of enjoyment are memes like "Release me!" which I joke about a lot with Blue Reflection's Second Light's first dungeon map, because it looks very similar to New Eden, and an interesting hook and idea with the Judge, formerly known as Rook. All those factors involved made me void out New Dawn entirely, though knowing myself, I'm probably going to be masochistic enough to stream it. So why do I consider Far Cry 6 the worst, despite all these supposed improvements? Well, its characters are mid to nothing to downright stupid, which we'll get into a bit because the main offenders, who I'll be talking about mainly, to the downright dystopian anarchic nightmare state that Yara becomes. Oh, and the overarching narrative is the dumbest yet in the Far Cry franchise. I've played games where psychotic fever dreams, alternate fucking versions of the world to fight Hoyden, magical drug visions, and musical leitmotifs used to classically condition people into an artificial PTSD loop, and to be honest, the main story of Far Cry 6 tops them all in its stupidity. So in that vein, I'll tackle every single example at once, of every single problem at once. Anton Castile. There are several issues with both his character and the pseudo-intellectual drivel that he spews. What confuses me is that many reviewers on YouTube consider this intelligent and insightful, particularly in reference to our times. Why? I'd love to revel in verbally brutalizing this narrative, but I should remain as precise and concise as possible. The reason why Anton Castile is probably one of the dumbest villains ever written is how he communicates his propaganda. One of the most referenced cutscenes to highlight his supposed brilliance as a character shows him to be one of the most idiotic dictators in general, and I've seen historical figures being incompetent worse than Mussolini. That cutscene is the Yara did not invent the playbook speech. It sounds smart, smarmy, and intelligent until you realize the premise and foundation are broken. In other words, it's basically speaking to hear yourself speak. And, if anybody knows me knows I speak from experience. When you evaluate the point of Yara's existence in the story, is that Yara is making this cure delay for cancer with a certain kind of plant with slave labor. Well, abhorrent, this hook is where the problem with the Yara did not invent the playbook ideological rant falls apart. Anton Castile's entire point of existence as a leader of Yara is the ends justify the means, as Anton Castile is providing an actual service to the actual worldwide benefit of humanity due to a possible cure for issues that millions around the world would kill to have. A cure for cancer, or even a delay, including yours truly. But in this monologue, Anton either forgets, doesn't remember, doesn't know about the ethos of his core ideology, or the writers understanding their own character gimmick and purpose. Anton Castile lowers the value of his own cause by comparing it to American slavery, which served no possible service to the worldwide or even their own national benefit. In fact, when you evaluate it mentally, without, directly verbalizing it, Yara is an actual inverse of slave labor. Since American slave labor provided access to a plant that has been used to the actual detriment of humanity, whereas America is the disease that keeps on giving, Yara is, ironically enough, the cure. That's not only the structural problem with his character, but also how his general character writing is executed as well. Before I get into that, though, I must mention one part of his character that I do like, and that is his truth or lies gimmick, or his alternatively known as no lies at my dinner table. I fucking love that. That's such a great gimmick that not enough people in characters use. The other problem with Anton Castile is that throughout the entire game, Anton's biggest worry is his death and what he passes on to his son Diego. Diego is the biggest Achilles heel of Anton's character, ironically enough, as it has been established multiple times that the hope of his future is not himself but his son Diego. And what does he do when he and Diego's backs are to the wall? He shoots his own son, and and then slits his throat. Which, while somewhat pretty fucking metal, is absolutely stupid in the worst way, and is both out of line with his character, but also so sudden that it ends up in personal whiplash for the viewer. I can understand Anton harming himself, killing himself, whatever, since he was on death's door as is from the cancer spreading. By the way, nice way to undersell your own setting by making the entire political agenda a sham and a, well, lie to him. But Diego being killed by his father is the dumbest fucking thing I've seen an antagonist do, when the entire point of Diego existing is to inherit Yara. Hell, people may even be willing to elect Diego when people realize that Diego tried his best to do well for the Yaran people. Speaking of free elections, Anton Castile can rest easy in his stupid glory, since the only person dumber than Anton is our playable main character, and Clara. I won't get into Clara too much because she's pretty much ancillary, but two problems arise. She trusts her supposed enemy at a dinner table in a tense situation. B, when you look at the whole story retroactively, it makes the thing Anton Castile fears most is free and fair elections seems like the dumbest thing ever, and I'm sorry for my poor Bill Clinton impression. That should be sufficient context as to why Clara herself is stupid. Though one aspect of stupidity from the entirety of Libertad for thinking it would lead to free and fair elections, when in actuality, most of the time, all deposing one tyrant does is putting a different kind in place. Notably, Juan Cortez and possibly Voss somehow, when you pay attention to the voice that Juan Cortez spoke to at the end with an audio-only ending. Like, what? What? Anyways, honestly, Far Cry 6's subtitling should have been Juan Cortez's Grift. Since not only did Juan Cortez practically and intentionally manipulate Yara to become his personal drug empire to take advantage of, his quotes are often present in loading screens. But when you factor in the amount of time spent playing the base game without even trophy hunting the game like I do, I started to really feel the weight of Juan Cortez's presence at almost every turn. He's the real star of Far Cry 6, man. He has the weight of incompetence, of Clara, of our playable character, of Anton Castile, and honestly, the writers sunk in yet? Well, hey, once a gorilla, always a gorilla. I didn't roll my L's enough, sorry about that. I am of the belief that Far Cry 6 is the worst of the PS4, PS5 era of Far Cry games, due to it having an unspoken and maybe even an unrealized theme of Far Cry 6. The cost and weight of utter incompetence. Do not get me wrong, there is a lot to enjoy about Far Cry 6. It can be a woefully incompetent, mindless slog of a game, but still have its fun traits. It has some fun and goofy characters, moments of brilliance at times, but overall, its negatives outweigh its positives so badly that Far Cry Primal is better executed. Oh boy, I can't wait for the hate or severe disagreements in the comments section below, particularly with that last take. Well, hey, the return of machetes and machete takedowns are pretty cool. Thank you for watching. Do all the social media stuff I do. I have been having a lot of fun making these videos and scripts lately, and really I've honestly have been just enjoying myself. And just remember, ladies and gentlemen, that my will is absolute.